it's been great to reconnect, and it's been great to push this thing forward in our own way all together. So thank you.
It's just, I mean, it's a privilege to be on the show, gentlemen. I think that you're doing God's work. I think that the need for a fourth estate that and a critical place where thinking can be done is so important now, especially after this terrible election result, which has just brought forward such a hard right racist government who are implementing culture war revenge fantasies, not social policy, and nothing they have proposed is going to solve the enormous problems this country has. And when you look at next year and the kind of very serious geopolitical tensions that are about to erupt in areas that we trade in and we ship things through, I just think our economy is ripe for a real tumble. And I think that the solutions that the right, this hard right racist government will ram through in panic will amputate and damage communities that I live in, that you live in, that we have friends in whānau who live in. Some of our brothers and sisters are about to go through some of the most extreme bloody times of their life with the cutbacks. And if you look at the way that they are targeting renters, workers, the environment, prisoners, beneficiaries, I mean, it's just and Māori, it's just a romper stomper of toxic, reactionary ZB talking points, but actually implemented as social policy. It's farcical.
It sure is grim, and with some of the other guests that we've had this week, I've certainly put forward that view that it's an assault. Like, even in, on election night, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad, but everything's very centrist and all of that sort of thing. I'm sure it'll come out in the wash. We'll have lots of content to talk about. It won't be that bad. And then they come out of the gates with some of the most horrific, telegram-based policy,
draconian.
Yeah, and do you know what was good though, Bomber? Right, like when we spoke to Chloe this week, and we spoke to Moana last night, and they both said a very similar thing. They said that this is going to coalesce communities.
Absolutely.
This is, where everybody thinks they're on their little Facebook island or whatever. This is going to make people reach out, find other people like them, unite, organize, march together, all of that sort of thing. And the more I've thought about that this week, I think Chloe said, if it feels overwhelming, then reach out and make a positive impact in something that you have control over.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and for me, that's this. And you can scream into
hang on. Are you the one in control of this? Do you have? Is that how it works?
God, no. Nobody wants me in control of anything. We've discussed this. I have lists. Nobody wants me in control of anything. But you've got to feel that you're moving the needle somehow, and that can be as small as going to a community group or making some positive change, or just saying, hey, look, I'm out here and I think this thing. Is there anybody else out there like me? It can be as big as organizing for a local organizer, or going on a pro-Palestinian march, right up to really agitating for a candidate or that sort of thing. It's what's ever in your influence, you can change something. And that's certainly better than going, fuck, well, I can't stop the war in Ukraine, and I can't stop the war in Gaza, and there's absolute demons in control of our government, and it's all just too much. So,
look,
yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, and that's always a reminder of just why Chloe and Moana are just such. I mean, I think Moana is one of the best public broadcasters this country has, and I believe that Chloe is just one of the future prime ministers this country would be just blessed to have. They are absolutely right. It is only through, and you're right. I think I think a lot of people voted National because they just wanted to shake they wanted some sensibleness in and thought some things were a bit wacky. But ultimately, they just voted National with the hope of getting a 10% increase in their house price. They were not buying this culture war shit. They were not buying I mean, they are embarrassed at the QAnon level nuttiness that has been implemented thanks to Winston now being the king of the conspiracy swamp kingdom. And Winston's throwing out this raw meat bloody policy to his nutty, feral, lunatic fringe groups who love him to death. He's throwing this chum out, and the National Party are just balking in horror. They just want to get back to making money. They didn't want any of this. So I think the shockwave of how far right it is, you're right, it will galvanize people. It will force the left to bloody work together. And those people who didn't vote, who just went, oh, screw it, I just can't, my heart's broken because it was so incremental, Labour were. My heart's broken, so incremental. They didn't vote. Oh, they're voting next year because what these guys have done in barely a month is crazier than we've seen in decades.